Hey guys, what's up? It is week 223. My 1980, my top 25 in 1980 kind of video essay, look into 1980 year in review posted. I really appreciate it if you give it a look. I might keep it as kind of like the page greeter when you guys go there for a while. A lot of hard work went into it. I used over 100 clips, 100 different movies and tons of different clips from the same movies, all sorts of stuff. So a lot of editing. It's not perfect in the audio department, I don't think, but different watching it and changing it different devices, it can kind of alter it. So please check it out. Let me know what you think. There will be a 1981 version, of course, later. Another down the line when I get done with 81, which will be quite some time. As far as the health issues, I have kind of like good news and bad news in a weird way. So they gave me an ultrasound and they couldn't find a hernia, which is weird. But my blood work came back really weird. So they had the blood work came back like my liver was all fucked up. And they don't really, so it was at high, like all these kind of things. So they retested me. They tested me for all, like, hepatitis and HIV and all the kind of typical stuff. And I was fine on that. No positives, all negatives on that kind of stuff. So then they tested me on like the GGT and it was really high. So I'm going back for some more tests. There might be something blocking, like blocking my liver or something like that. Not sure how it happened or whatnot, but I don't have the news. I don't have to get surgery just yet. Maybe my gallbladder's bad. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But my back's been in immense pain, and the doctor said that was probably unrelated to that. So it is what it is. I'm going to have to take some days off working out, which I never do. But hey, I gotta. It's going to be hard for me. But let's hop into the reviews. And the first one up is from 88 Films. I was really happy to see this get a release. This is Magic Cop. This is a blast. We got the guy here from Mr. Vampire from 85. He's in a slew of Hong Kong movies, a lot of these kind of supernatural, kind of kung fu kind of deals. And this one's great. If anybody's like a fan of stuff like Dead Heat or of course Spooky Encounter of the First Kind by Sammo Hung, this is totally the kind of jam like that. And there's a couple other ones like called Haunted Cop Shop and things of that nature. But so what we have here is we have sort of this police officer. He's like this kind of like old chief or whatnot. And he's kind of dishonored, or he's superstitious. He's very religious. He uses magic. He practices magic involved with this. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Cast the Deadly Spell, right? We have the Private Eye and Fred Ward, who won't use magic in a world full of magic. Well, this guy is the opposite. He uses magic, and no one really believes in it. And his niece is killed in a very strange kind of crazy like bank robbery where she just won't stop moving. She's walking, like people are handcuffing themselves to her, and she's just walking through everything. So he shows up to try to figure out what's going on, and he's partnered with a couple other police officers. Both of them have the eye on his daughter, I think, and they're just kind of like infatuated with her. Maybe it's another niece. So they're both trying to pawn for her love, while at the same time we're kind of trying to discover this mystery of who was the cause of these, cause of the niece to die. So we kind of like unfold and get behind there, and we see like these magic workings. They have to fight this giant like bodybuilder who's been kind of like possessed. That's a lot of fun. And the main villain in this is excellent, very creepy. The final showdown in this movie is excellent. Use a lot of use of magic, a lot of use of like mirrors and stuff like that. It's a nice little glimpse at that kind of stuff. It's also got a lot of comedy, a lot of gags, of course. Fish out of water. We have the religious guy moving in with the not religious guy, but the magic user moving in. He's very straight faced, moving in with this one young guy, and they're just constantly at each other's throats in kind of silly ways. But this is a lot of fun. This is an absolute blast. The action is great. The special effects are wonderful. That end fight scene is just is really good stuff. I can't really recommend it enough. I really enjoyed it. I thought that the camera work, all that stuff was really top notch. But as far as the special features are concerned, we have a couple here. Of course, we have a few different kind of audio mixes. We have a 5.1 in English, and then we also have the original Cantonese 2-point mix and a master Cantonese home video mix, and then we also have a master audio English dub. So we have a commentary by Hong Kong experts Frank Jin and Mark Walco. Taiwanese cut with an alternate score. That's only an SD. Interview with Tung Wei, who is he's actually one of the actors in the film, and I think he was involved with producing the film. Image gallery trailer, reversible cover with artwork, all that kind kind of stuff here. So yeah, this is a really nice artwork here. And there's like I said, the end stuff is great when there's these kind of different spells they put on people. And like as I just went through like 1980, and there's stuff like Hex from the Shaw Brothers, which had the spells, and Spooky Encounters from Golden Harvest. I think that was a Golden Harvest. And then we even have in 81, we have stuff like Bewitched. So you can see the trajectory of these kind of like spell movies. And in 91, there was a slew of them as well that I watched from Hong Kong. The Evil Dead versus the I can't think of that one. The Unholy Dead, the Holy Dead versus the Evil. That was a wild one. So like I like these Hong Kong kind of incorporating supernatural, magical like fight scenes and all that stuff. And Mr. Vampire, of course, just interesting kind of part of Hong Kong cinema that I was not too versed with, except in the last like 3 or 4 years. So great stuff. Okay, the next one is from Arrow Video, and it is a 4K, and it looks exceptional. This is Hugo by Martin Scorsese. And I gotta admit, in 2011, I didn't see Hugo. I don't know why. It just passed me by. I completely forgot about the movie, and it's not exactly a kids movie. I'd say it's more of a family friendly kind of film. And they mentioned this in the commentary. How kind of like kids movies nowadays are more so like less family. They are family friendly, but they're more aimed at the kids, right? Back in the day when I was a kid, or I would watch stuff like Something Wicked This Way Comes or Watcher in the Woods, where these movies had an element of like horror or terror or just a little bit more adult themes and thinking and loss. A lot of the old Disney movies had these like Bambi and Dumbo. They had a sense of loss and depression and stuff like that. There's a really kind of like a thinking kids movie, I guess you'd say. So Hugo. What we have here is this young boy whose father passes away, and it's Ian McGregor. No, it's not Ian McGregor. It's Jude Law. Sorry, I mix them up sometimes. So it's Jude Law passes away, and he's like a clockmaker, right? He controls like the clock in the tower in the subway station. That's kind of the main place here. And so he starts taking over for him. His dad's a clockmaker, and his uncle comes, and it's Ray Winstone, sorry. He comes and takes him under his wing and says, "You're gonna have to work here, yada yada yada." So this boy is working the clocks, and there's all sorts of strange characters around, one in which is Ben Kingsley, who we find out is somebody famous, a famous person in history. I don't know if I should spoil this or not. And this is kind of loosely based on a true story or inspired by a true story, but there's definitely kind of like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood kind of magical touch to it, of course, which is really great. There's also Borat is in here, Sacha Baron Cohen, and he plays kind of like the security here, and he's got a bad leg. I loved watching him in this movie, to be honest, because, I've seen him in stuff like Sweeney Todd and, of course, Borat, and he never really gets to play, I'm going to sound weird here, like a real character. Like in Borat, he's that guy, you know what I mean? But it's such a weird film. It's not really a typical film. And in Sweetie Todd, he's just like kind of playing the goofy kind of like character. Tarnier? I can't think of his name in that. No, that's who he plays in Les Mis. Jeez, I'm getting all mixed up. So he's in Les Mis as well, playing a ridiculous character. And so like in this, I was like, I feel like this is his most realized character. This most like realistic with arcs and stuff. And I just thought it was really kind of just refreshing to see him play this role. Also, Christopher Lee is in here, and a slew of other actors and actresses in smaller roles that are all like kind of bigger names that I love seeing. And the idea that Christopher Lee worked with Martin Scorsese is just like, yeah, I love that. I love seeing that. And he plays a librarian. He's got a really like great scenes with the young actor here. So essentially, Hugo is completely obsessed with these little watch trinkets and everything like that. And you find out that he has an automaton. I always have trouble with that word, right? The little things you wind up and they move and everything, and they do sophisticated things. So he has one of these that is the only thing that he has a memento from his father, right? And there's a book how to make it. He's drawings, all these things. And he's completely obsessed with trying to get this thing to finally work, to continue his father's work, to honor his father. So he starts to steal these trinkets from this watch shop at the train station where Ben Kingsley works. And soon enough, he gets involved with Ben Kingsley, and there's a bunch of these reveals. And, as a commentator, the person who does the commentary on here was, an expert on George Méliès. So, like, after it started progressing, I didn't really know. I didn't know much about the movie, but I definitely, I know this is going to be kind of, I know the commentator on here, basically the person who did the commentary, would kind of poo-poo this idea that this is, Mark Scorsese's love letter to film. But I do see it in a lot of ways like that. I would say it's his love letter to the birth of a lot of films. I do think that maybe even a childhood thing for him, although he didn't write the script, I don't believe, So the idea, I think it's based on maybe a novel or something, but it's just the idea of exploring and discovering in here is really heartwarming and touching. And I can't help but compare it to Cinema Paradiso, right? I can't help it. I really can't. So like the young kid starts to stumble on what this Ottoman drew. And it's a picture from A Trip to the Moon. The crazy kind of weird silent film that was colorized and everything like that. It's a wild, adventurous film. And as he starts to push forward to figure out the mystery of this, as we see more and more of this magical touch from certain characters, and we see a character come to life. And it's really heartwarming and really touching and just all around great stuff. Now, this movie, I think, was originally made to be in 3D. I think that the acting in here is exceptional. And it's so weird watching this and thinking it's a Martin Scorsese movie, because I feel like it feels more like a Del Toro film from that time, like the Crimson Peak look or the Shape of Water look. I feel like it has more in line with those kind of films, like just the look of it. And seeing that this is such a different run for Scorsese, right? It's so different than anything that he's really done that I've seen. I mean, I know Color of Money is different, or King of New York. They're also different from Taxi Driver and Goodfellas and like Gangs of New York. But this one is so much different than any of his other stuff. Like, I'm watching this and being like, geez, this has none of the other touches that I see in here, and it was so cool to watch. And he's so good at it. Like, I'm just like, I think Martin Scorsese could do whatever he wants and be successful at it, because this works well. The set designs are perfect. And I know there's got to be some digital effects in here, but this is how you use your digital effects. You make everything look alive. You make maybe just the color grading is so well done that all the things pop that should pop when you're outside in the cold and you see the factories in the background and you see that warm glowing yellow light in the window. That is something that it just looks beautiful on this film. Okay, it's a wonderful looking movie. The outfits are wonderful. The characters are wonderful. The kind of, I guess, hijinks that ensue through the background and all these story arcs that are happening are wonderful. Plus, it's got Christopher Lee, maybe arguably one of the greatest actor of all time, the greatest horror actor of all, arguably for sure. But no, this is a really good film. I've never seen it. The 4K, it looks gorgeous. It's a movie that should be on 4K, if that makes any sense to anyone. But we have the 4K, of course, with the commentary on here. Where is it at here? Geez, I'm sorry about that. And then we also have the 4K. I'm at the Blu-ray with the 4K with features on there. But then we have a whole disc 3 with all new bonus features. A lot of new bonus features on here. The whole disc is all bonus features, I meant to say. Inventing Hugo Cabaret, a new interview with Brian Selznick, award-winning author and illustrator of the original novel on which the film was based. Capturing Dreams, a new interview with director of photography Robert Richardson. The Music of Dreams, a new interview with composer Howard Shore, who's Cronenberg's guy, which is excellent. Ian Christie on Hugo, a new interview with acclaimed film historian and editor on Scorsese. Secret Machines, Hugo and Film Preservation, a new video essay by filmmaker and critic Scott Tafoya. Creating New Worlds, a new featurette in which film historian and author Julien Dupuy examines the life and legacy of Georges Méliès on his impact on cinema and special effects. Papa George Made Movies, a new featurette in which film critic and historian Pamela Hutchinson explores the days of early cinema. Méliès at the time of Hugo, new visual essay by filmmaker and writer John Spierna. 5 archival featurettes in the making of the film Shoot the Moon, the making of Hugo, the cinema magician Georges Méliès, the mechanical man at the heart of Hugo, big effects, small scale, and Sacha Baron Cohen role of a lifetime. So all this is new stuff on here, right? I think that everybody was just chomping at the bit to talk about a Scorsese movie or talk about this movie that talks about another famous director and just show their love for it. So this is an excellent release of a really good film. I definitely will revisit this one. I feel like this could be a good holiday movie, a Christmas movie or something like that. Touching. I got teary-eyed during it. It just is a lot of good sentimental stuff, and I think that people will enjoy Hugo. It's a good learning experience, although it's not 100% accurate or anything like that, but what movies are. Okay, the next one here is Holy Spider by Utopia. This is an Iranian film. It takes place in Iran, which is strange. So, I mean, like, right away I was watching this, and it has this mystery story about this person who's going around murdering sex workers. And I was like, okay, this gives me the vibe of something like The Golden Glove, which is a period piece that takes place in the 70s is The Golden Glove, I believe so. It's a great film. Came out a couple years ago, and this one takes place in the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001. And we also have this aspect of this reporter, this journalist who's into it, a female one, so she's getting really, like, ridiculed here by all the men, and there's just this horrible kind of, this climate here, and I imagine it's still prevalent in a lot of places in the world. I know it is. So it's really rough stuff to watch. It still resonates today, of course. I don't want to get into politics, all that shit about that stuff like it right now, but it's fucked up. And it's just really sets like a giant obstacle for our lead character in this. Now she does have some people that help her, but it's directly there. She's trying to figure out who this murderer is, while a lot of the people aren't caring about the sex workers being killed, and a lot of the people in power, a lot of people in government, and a lot of the people on the streets. So we're pretty much introduced who the killer is fairly quickly, and it's this ex-military guy who's kind of a war hero. And at one point he kind of talks to his friends that I wish I would have been a martyr. I wish I would have died for a cause. So he's just not mentally all there. He's not stable. But so he goes out and he rides this motorbike and he starts murdering sex workers. And in the very beginning, we spend a lot of time with the character who's murdered. So you kind of grasp who these people are. And there's a couple times it does that. And one murder in particular with the heavier woman who he kills reminds me a lot of The Golden Glove. But this movie also has the aspect of being in Iran, and there's not very many, horror-oriented films that take place in Iran. So I immediately thought of Under the Shadow, because this character has to move through society with this horrible thing happening at the same time, and Under the Shadow with the bombs and the ghost and all these hauntings, at the same time having to deal with being a woman in this very patriarchal society. And it's not just that; it's much worse than that, right? So it has that aspect too. And I like that. And then it has kind of an aspect. What was the film? I'm asking the audience what a film was. I'm supposed to be the guy talking about him. That it was on Shudder, and it was about the cab driver, and she witnessed a serial murderer, and the murderer was kind of stalking her. I get that element as well. There's one that came out last year that has that same kind of vibe, right? So this character kind of explores and dives into trying to figure out these crimes, and you deal with her. You deal with all the people she's dealing with, and we spend a lot of time with the killer. We spend a lot of time with him, spending time with his family. And there's a hint behind him. There's not just a hint, it's kind of outright said that he's not just doing this to cleanse the streets, as he claims, which multiple serial killers have done that, which is funny because in society in America, yes, a lot of sex workers are killed, and they're called the lesser dead, and they don't really care. But the murderers aren't well respected or ever regarded as martyrs or heroes or whatever you would say. They're just kind of like weirdos, religious zealots, or perverts, or a mixture of both, or try to hide their perversions and their degenerate behavior and nasty, sick behavior behind the idea that they're some sort of religious kind of, religious hero. And this character does that. In America, he would just be considered trash. But in Iran, during this period of time and his reputation, people start to get behind him, and part of it is the court case that examines all the social issues and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting movie. It's really well done. It's really well acted. The killer is despicable, and there's some good moments here, some tense moments. I would recommend Holy Spider. This is good stuff. It's interesting stuff too. And like so many movies, you'll see like this is a movie you've seen a million times, but it takes place in this plane under that. And this is not a movie you've seen a million times. It has a similar plot, but it makes it different and interesting because where it takes place and all the aspects like that. It is a unique and different film. I would recommend it. This is Holy Spider. And it was made, I think, last year is when it came out, 2022. It's nearly 2 hours, but it's worth it. So the special features Q&A with the director. And then we have another Q&A. He has a couple Q&As here. And then we have one with Zar Amir Ambrinia. And then we have an interview with actress Zar Amir Ambrinia as well. And then an interview with actor Maha Bastani. Interview with producer Jacob Jarek. Interview with producer Saul Bondi. So we have a bunch of stuff here. It's an interesting film. I would recommend checking out Holy Spider. You can't really go wrong. If you like serial killer films or you're interested in other films kind of like the horror or thriller and that kind of aspect, see other countries, then check this one out for sure. You'll enjoy it. Okay, the next one I'm going to be kind of brief with because I feel like kind of a jerk. So I finally watched Evil Dead Rise. It's a fairly new movie, obviously came out this year. It's in the Evil Dead franchise, and I've talked about all the other Evil Dead films. I never covered Ash vs. Evil Dead. I don't think I've seen like one episode, and I'm a fan of the original Evil Dead movies. I'm a little hot and cold on the remake, and I feel similar to that as this one. I do think this one's probably a little bit better in a lot of aspects. So the director here, I believe, is this the same director that did Hole in the Wall, or is he doing something Hole in the Ground? I can't remember. That was the Irish one, right? I think it's the same director. It opens up kind of in this like cabin in the woods kind of place, right? And we kind of have a trick out with the opening with a drone, which you think is the kind of going through the woods point of view shot. It's not. Then we have kind of a really couple good gore gags. The lead guy, the guy in the very beginning, though, to be honest, he was doing an American accent, and he was clearly not American. I know other countries deal with people, Americans doing really crummy accents here, but that was a pretty crummy accent. So we kind of had that cold open, right? And we go in, and Evil Dead Rise pops up, and it's kind of a cool scene, kind of I wouldn't say unique, but it doesn't exactly feel like Evil Dead. And so here's what I'm going to get through right now. Evil Dead Rise is a really well done film. It's a well made film. The special effects are good. The cinematography is good. For the most part, the set design is really cool, really neat. The building, the location, the script is all right too. All that stuff is fine. But here we come down to the fact that it's called Evil Dead, and so I won't hold it against it too much, right? I told you it's a good film. It's a good movie. And it's not exactly what I'm looking for when I see something called Evil Dead. It's not really my thing. And I know I sound like a jerk, and that's fine. And you can think that as well. And if you enjoy it, I get it. I get why you enjoy it. It's just a good movie. You don't care. Some movies with sequels are way off, or in the franchise are way off. Sometimes I am forgiving, or if I saw them at a young age or whatever, I've grown to love that. It happens over time. This one here, it has a family that is kind of the centerpiece of this, and it takes place in kind of a rundown apartment complex, right? And it's definitely a family drama. All the characters have their baggage and their issues and everything like that. This family's coming together to see, which is very typical on a lot of horror movies now. And what was so cool about the old horror films, a lot of times like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, it's just some friends going camping and crazy shit happens. I kind of miss that. I love like the hardcore horror, dramas like Hereditary and Midsommar. But those are different. They don't have an IP attached to them. And it's fine if you want to take one movie out of a franchise and do that with it. That's perfectly fine. But the last Evil Dead had that whole, kind of drama, family issues, drug thing too. And this one has its issues, has the family coming and getting over things and hurdles. And I just had a hard time connecting because I don't care anymore. Like, I know that sounds shitty. It's not Hereditary. It's not as well done as Hereditary. And when I put in an Evil Dead movie, I really don't care about no family drama bullshit. And I know this movie's doing that, and that's fine. And I felt similar to the Hellraiser new one. I mean, it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's just not what I look for when I enjoy a Hellraiser movie. It doesn't feel like it's the same source material. It feels like a weird kind of HBO sequel that is in name only. So saying that, like I said, I love the building. I love the shot on the ground that was looking up at the building. Some of the gore is great. The characters aren't very memorable, but when the mom is actually possessed as a Dead Knight, she's got some really good performances, really freaky performances. The movie's not afraid to kill people. It will fucking kill everyone. Kids, random people in the movie. Got to give it credit for that. I know people are comparing it to Demons 2 because it's in a high rise. I mean, there's a lot of high rise horror movies. I don't see much Demons 2 connection. And the thing, I don't know what it is about Demons. I love Demons 1 and 2. And you can see, I guess, similarities, right? But the thing about Demons is that they always seem bigger. It's so weird. Like, this movie doesn't seem very big. I mean, in terms of special effects, it seems big, but there's just some very minimal cast. And if you're gonna bring it out of the woods, maybe just kind of explore the city a little bit more. That's the same thing with The Purge. The first Purge, I never watched it, but just on paper, I was like, oh shit, The Purge sounds crazy. And it's like, yeah, it's all in one house. I'm like, I know you don't have the budget, but you show me that idea. And sometimes with mythology, you want to give them a glimpse and let them develop it themselves or something like that. But sometimes you show the glimpse of that and then you never show any more and you kind of feel like you got cheated. It's fine. Like I said, the gore gags are cool. The one thing I loved about the original Evil Dead movies is that they were done on a budget and everything was done with practical effects. So when they rammed a giant tree through the side of the cabin or something like that, they had to figure that out. This would just mostly be CGI. I mean, it's not all CGI. CGI is there to help, and it does help, but it's just not as fun. It's mean-spirited, and they're not gags. Like in the Evil Dead movie, they all seem like gags, and there's a funness to it. And this is dead serious, and that's fine if you're looking for that, because the Evil Dead movies are anything but the same tone, right? The first one is a little bit more serious, but it has the gag mentality, right? The gag thing in there. But and they get goofier as they go on, and I know people love this, and that's fine. I don't hate it. I think it's pretty cool, but it's just not something that I really look forward to in an Evil Dead movie. Slap a different title on it, and maybe I would feel a little bit more fond of it. But there's more shout-outs to The Shining and The Exorcist. Can we stop doing The Exorcist shit in Evil Dead movies or any? Do you have to do the Catholicism in every fucking demon movie, guys. That was what was so cool about Evil Dead 1 and 2 and Army of Darkness, right? Although maybe the presence of something would have been slightly there, even though it's Lovecraftian and all those kind of things. And I understand that maybe Christians stumbled upon the Necronomicon, but the idea that in here, it just doesn't really work for me. It's just boring. It's so boring. It's so fucking boring. If I see somebody do the spider crawl one more fucking time, I'm going to blow my brains out. I just stop. Stop doing the fucking spider crawl. Leave it to The Exorcist. Please, please, please. But anyways, Evil Dead Rise, it's alright. You'll like it probably. I'm a stubborn baby, so watch it. Alright, let's get into those 1981 movies.
Woe be unto him who opens one of the 7 gateways to hell, because through that gateway, evil will invade the world.
Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. In this little town, when the 14th comes round, there's a silence and fear in the air. Remember the morn that the legend was born, all the shock and the horror was there. For the legend, they say, on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. And no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago.
Okay, this first one up is listed as a horror film on Letterboxd. I don't know too much about that. I don't know if it really is. It's definitely crime, thriller, drama, and then maybe some aspects of horror. And this is The Escapees from Jean Rollin. The director definitely specializes in horror and gothic films. And this does have some gothic and kind of tropes like that. So Jean Rollin, of course, you know, he did a movie the previous year, 1980, Night of the Hunted. He also has great films like Living Dead Girl and Grapes of Death. And he has Rape of the Vampire, Shiver of the Vampire, you know, Requiem for a Vampire. Lots of vampires. John Rollin is a director that worked up until his death, really. He was a guy that was very prolific and loved film. And he's a French director. He has a great eye. He casts beautiful people doing strange, nightmarish, absurdist things. That's his MO. So what we have here is there's this one girl who's, they're all in an asylum. These two girls in the very beginning, one of which seems to be comatose, and the other who is kind of disruptive. She wants to get out and just, you know, lose her virginity and go wild, you know, that kind of thing. They put her in a straitjacket, and she calls out to the kind of comatose girl, and the comatose girl snaps out of it, breaks her out of the jacket, and becomes immediately drawn to her, clung to her. And they go and they kind of had this weird kind of girls on the run kind of thing, and one of them wants to push her away, but they kind of just get closer and closer as it goes on, and they end up joining this kind of weird sideshow thing where these they run these like dances for these sailors that are traveling port to port, and they dance naked in front of them and everything like that while they serve drinks, and they are kind of like sometimes haggled by men, and there's this, you know, these kind of scenes like that, and there's a crime element, a small town crime element. There's a bar ran by this lady, and they kind of go in there, and you see the mental illness that both these girls have, especially the comatose one, and how she has this just very close nature to this girl, and she's been kind of shut off from everything, and doesn't really have much life experiences. So the ending, of course, has got to be tragic in a movie like this, and it's a really well done scene. And there's actually some shootouts in here which I thought were pretty good as well. You know, John Rollin, not known for his action, known for his cinematography and his, you know, absurdity and his surrealism and stuff like that, but not too much known for his action. But there's a decent amount of action in this one. The Escapees, I think it's worth a look. You know, John Rollin, I will watch anything he makes. So this one I thought had, you know, some beautiful people that we, of course, Bridget Lelehe's in here too. She's a kind of a cult staple, smaller role, but plenty of nudity, of course, plenty of sex, plenty of dancing. Yeah, so as far as the special features are concerned, we have One Day in Paris, an interview with John Rollin, and yeah, I would recommend checking it out if you're a fan of his. The Blu-ray looks pretty good from Redemption, the Kino line. Okay, so the next 1981, and we're going to go with, I'll be quick with some of these, is The Territory. And this is a bizarre film. I had not really heard much about it. I just knew it was from 81, and it was kind of listed as kind of like a thriller, kind of horror film about a group, like kind of family, kind of oriented group getting kind of going for this hike and getting lost and reverting to cannibalism. So this is a weird fucking movie. In the very beginning, they all are kind of arguing if they're going to go on a hike, and before and dinner, like this character, this strange character, Paul, I believe, he kind of explains to this young girl that she's got to eat the pig, and you got to grow big and strong. Everybody does it. And the character of Paul, this character, I think his name's Paul. He is so bizarre and so off kilter in his demeanor, the way he delivers his lines, the way he talks. It is unnerving as shit, and I could not wait for him to leave the film. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad performance. I'm saying it's a good performance. I'm saying it's the contrary to that. He's very good. He makes me uncomfortable. He annoys me. He whines. He complains. Everything that this character was supposed to do and be completely weird about it, he does, and he does well, enough to drive me crazy. And there's a couple other characters, too. In fact, and one in French, so all their dialogue is, half their dialogue is in French. We have like 4 adults, 2 couples, and 2 kids. And the kids start to kind of be bizarre as well, and they have a guide who nobody gets along with. Very quickly, the guide leaves them in arguments. He's not very nice, seems elitist, and they find him dead. And in the kind of long weekend kind of scenario, right, that body starts to follow them wherever they're at when they're lost. And they argue about whether this symbol on a tree is a new one or the same one, the Kilroy little carved in. And before long, they have to revert to some really nasty things. At times, they meet people on the bridge. They're just so weird. Like, they just never seem to handle things right. They never seem to, like, and they do a really good job of establishing them as strange and having a strange relationship and dichotomy amongst each other, so you can kind of believe that this weird religious kind of stuff would start within them, and this argument with them, and them that they would actually have the idea to kill themselves, and it ends kill each other, I mean, and it ends in a bizarre way too. And it ends kind of on a statement, I would say. The Territory, weird film, well shot, well made. Like to see a Blu-ray of it. I think that this one could, use some nice video essays by people talking about it, but it's a bizarre bizarre film, a weird one. I would consider it horror enough. And there is kind of a strange element to following them within the woods. It kind of very much went like rituals or deliverance, but it kind of veers clear of that. It does have some aspects, but not too much. All right, another one from 1981 here, and it's a bizarre one called Bloody Sex, and this is the same director of Vicious and Nude from the previous year. Vicious and Nude I covered for 1980. That's kind of a remake of Death Game, which Grindhouse put out. So this is a bizarre one, right? So this is Bloody Sex, and this is even probably weirder than Vicious and Nude. So what we have here is a pair of a lesbian couple are helping out this. I think she studies these kind of things. I can't remember exactly what she wants to go to this old villa and check it out and everything like that. But they get stranded there because their car breaks down, and there's an older woman that's living there and tells them they can stay for a bit, and she's just awkward right from the beginning. And we kind of get the idea that she's hiding some things. She has a mute person working for her that doesn't talk at all, and eventually, like a love interest comes back to her. But her father owned this villa, and he kind of went out on tragic circumstances. So we have a lot of this foreboding energy, a lot of these kind of weird, I guess you would say, like, I don't want to say dream sequences, but visions and whatnot. Until we kind of figure out what the hell is going on, and definitely it does involve kind of this mental illness aspect, and people just maybe not everyone is disappeared that should have, or whatever. Maybe they're still around. All this kind of weird shit like that, right? It's pretty short. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, if that. It doesn't really wear out its welcome. There's plenty of nudity and plenty of sex. I don't even know if I'll be able to find any clips that don't have it. Kind of edges into that. So does Vicious and Nude, but at the end of it, I thought this was worth the time. I thought it was an interesting film, and I think it's better than Vicious and Nude. I think it's more fast-paced. I think it just works better. I think the characters are better, and I think the reveals are better. So this is Bloody Sex. Weird film, bizarre, but we're checking out if you like this kind of thing. And the last one from 1981, and I would say last but not least, but it is most definitely least, from Joel M. Reed. That's right, Night of the Zombies, not to be confused with Hell of the Living Dead from the previous year, aka Night of the Zombies by Bruno Mattei. So this is a movie that I always wanted to see forever, right? When I was growing up, there was only 4 Nazi zombie movies, right? There was Zombie Lake, Oasis of the Zombies, and Night of the Zombies, and then, of course, Shockwaves from Ken Wiederhorn. And everyone would be like, the best Nazi zombie movie ever, Shockwaves. And I'm like, it has zero competition, guys. I mean, and I'd seen Zombie Lake, and I've seen most of Oasis of the Zombies. I don't know if I could even get through that. But I always had heard that Night of the Zombies by Joel M. Reed was terrible. Joel M. Reed also directed Bloodsucking Freaks and Bloodbath. Bloodsucking Freaks is pretty good. Bloodbath's okay. So Night of the Zombies stars Jamie Gillis as well, which is crazy. Porn star Jamie Gillis is the star and the highlight of this movie. So this is kind of your spy deal, right? Spy kind of horror film. Think Contamination, where and in the beginning we have some crazy thing happen, and this group of, like, I guess military style people got to go in and figure out what the hell's going on. It appears that there is some sort of gas that's missing that kind of revives the dead and continues to give people life. So all these people are after it. There's secret police after it. Jamie Gillis is there. He ends up going undercover as a Nazi zombie to figure out where the Nazi zombies are. The makeup's not great, but some of it's more effective than I expected. This movie is dull. It's boring. It's just a lot of like bullshit fucking people like not rotting because they don't have their stuff, or more bullshit like spy stuff. And I don't even like Contamination that much, and that's a much vastly superior movie to Night of the Zombies by Joel M. Reed. It's okay. I can't really recommend it. Kind of bored me. I like Jamie Gillis. He's fine in it, but I can't give this a recommend. I can barely talk about it, to be honest. So it's not great. It's Night of the Zombies. It's one of the most dull movies I've seen from 1981 so far. Maybe the most dull. This would require probably like a remastered Blu-ray for me to pay like that much attention. I'm not going to lie. Okay, the Patreon pick is from David Scott, or is it David Loon? Sorry, I always mix that up. And he picked Wild Strawberries from 1957 by, of course, Ingmar Bergman. I had seen a handful of his films, Serpent's Lair, Persona, Hour of the Wolf. I watched the other one. I know I'm forgetting one. It probably is like one of his bigger ones. But no, he's a very great director. Newsflash, Bergman's great. So Wild Strawberries, I think this might be my favorite of his movies. I also saw The seventh, oh fucking the plague one recently. I can't. Seventh Seal. So that one's great too. So this one here, Wild Strawberries, and this is basically his Charles Dickens story. This is like a Christmas Carol. Okay, so I was watching. I was like, is this a Christmas Carol? Is this like Bergman's Christmas Carol? So we have this old man who's 78 years old, and he's about to get like this lifetime achievement award for being 50 years as a doctor. He ends up kind of, his daughter-in-law is hanging out with him. She's passing through, so she stops and goes with him. He's gonna go visit his mother, and he has like his housekeeper and everything like that. And he's kind of like got this curmudgeon attitude. He's kind of bitter. He's not the nicest guy. His family doesn't love him. His son doesn't love him. His son is actually played by the guy who's not Max von Sydow, but the second kind of main character in The Seventh Seal. I can't think of the actor's name. He's really good. So basically, he has to go to the ceremony and everything's planned, but he decides to take this kind of car trip. Instead of like taking a longer trip or taking a bus or whatever, he takes a car trip to go visit his mother, who's like 97 years old or something along those lines, to see her. And his daughter-in-law goes with him. And as he kind of gets closer to his hometown, he starts to kind of have these awakening feelings, right? These awakening feelings of his past. And I was like, we have a flashback, where he used to sit and pick wild strawberries, and we see like not necessarily his life, but we see others' lives around him. His family used to all live in this kind of summer cottage, and he was in love with his cousin, everything like that, and stolen away from him as a young man, by his brother. So like we see that kind of little aspect and everything like that, and he runs into some people from his hometown, and they say, you were such a wonderful man, and you're kind of seeing like this kind of change in somebody, right? How they used to be something, and they're getting glimpsed at that, and he mentions, I should have never left, and that's such a touching moment, right? And he maybe would not have become this bitter thing that he has become, and like his daughter-in-law and him have these really long, deep conversations about his son and their future, and it just works really well. And by the end of it, and his nightmares about death and about failure and about not being accepted, and about it's not all about the money you make and your career. It's sometimes about the impact you have on human beings. And throughout, there's these two young characters complaining about, science and religion, and like that's the inner turmoil within himself, right? It's a really well done film. And there's other characters they run across the road too, and they all these kind of like represent little parts of his life, and help him kind of realize, what's important for him, and who he is, and who he was, and what he's become. It's a great film. The acting's top notch, and what can I say? The story is really good. And it to me, it's like a Christmas Carol kind of deal, but just a little bit different in an artsy kind of way, right? But I would really recommend Wild Strawberries. It's a Criterion release for good reason. Check it out. It's great stuff. Okay, comments, concerns, all that jazz. Tempo Tapas, good luck, Mrparka. I work in a warehouse, moving big bags and bins of packages all day, so getting injured or needing surgery is one of my fears. I'm sure you'll come out of the other side just fine. Take it easy for a while, even if it's hard to accept help. Thank you. Thanks for the great videos as always. I recently watched City of the Living Dead and Blood Games based on your recommendations. Also, I love The Pit. I love all three of those movies you just mentioned in different ways and different levels. Horrorhound 71, don't worry. I've had it done twice in my span of 3 years, and once it's been done, you will feel like a new man. It will take time to get better around about 4 to 5 weeks. After that, you will be fine, but you won't be going to the gym for a few weeks. Good luck anyway. Explosive Action, thanks for the shout out, mate. I have The Pit on the shelf, and I think you just convinced me to watch it finally. They eat people. I know. It's great, man. Chris Harper, prayers on your health. Thank you. Fetish Magic 2419. Sorry to hear about your health. Wishing you the best. Surgeries are the worst. Bad Brains Horror. The 1981 intro is so great. I really need to see Cannibal Ferox. You do. I love it. Best of luck with the surgery. We'll keep watching your awesome content. Thank you. 71 Domino. Best wishes to you. I have had a hernia surgery as well, and it sucks. Do what you need to do, as your life and health should take priority. That they do. The Nick Mua from Belgium. I've always wondered whether I should give The Pit a watch. After your enthusiastic review, I will for sure. Tales from the Dark Side. The movie is an excellent feature indeed, and one hell of an anthology. Proof that not everything from the 90s is shit. Pardon my French. Questions. Which Italian director isn't getting enough love according to you? For me, it's Emilio Murgliari. Murgliaggi. Red Queen Kill 7. The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. That's a good choice, but I mean, there's a lot of them. Massimo Dallamano is another one that I think probably could get a little bit more love. See, the problem with a couple of these guys is they directed 3 or 4 movies and then kind of disappeared. But the big three always get the name, and they well deservingly so. Bava, Fulci, Argento, and then I think like the next secondary ones are like Lenzi, Martino, Diodato. But then you got tons of other guys. You got Ricardo Freda, you got Antonio Margheriti, and these guys dabbled in all sorts of different genres too. So it's hard to pinpoint. But there's a couple one-off horror directors too. There's a lot of good ones. Just off the top of my head, let's go Massimo Dallamano. I mean, What Have You Done to Solange and What Have They Done to Our Daughters are very good films. So we also name some of your favorite supernatural thrillers, please. Mine are Brotherhood of the Wolf and Hammer's the Hound of Baskerville. Those are both great choices. Fake supernatural thrillers. Fake supernatural thrillers. If I tell you that, they're spoiled, right? I don't know about fake supernatural thrillers. Boy, that's pretty tough. I don't really have any. Those I definitely would name the Hounds of Baskerville. That's a great one. Don't you just hate it when FedEx or some similar service messes up or loses something you ordered? Yeah, that's a headache. Especially if you don't think it's gonna come. So then the company backs it up and takes care. See you soon, and don't forget, evil dies tonight. Okay. Stefan Mitnander, 6077. Good luck. Hope everything turns out in the best possible way. Thank you. Hudson3838. Have you pissed off some elderly gypsy woman lately? Seems to me that the Lady Luck has left the building and she don't give a fuck anymore. Nope. I did hit some old lady running across the street though, and some weird guy was like, thinner. And I was like, get the fuck out of my way, dude. So MJ8709. Hope everything gets better. Thank you. User, this is a long name. Text Wi-Fi. Sorry about the news. Stay strong. I will. The Simpsons Guy 360. Best of luck, Dave. I'm looking forward to your 1980 video. I recently picked up the Flesh Eater 4K. It's kind of funny what kind of movies Vinegar Syndrome puts out on 4K. I'll pass on Citizen Kane and Casablanca, but Flesh Eater on 4K? Shut up and take my money. Haha. I'm the same way. I'm like, that'll always be there, but I gotta have that Flesh Eater. The Mustachio Bashio. Wishing you good health, dude. Hope everything goes well. Thank you. I hope your health gets better. I will continue to watch your videos. You have a ton of videos from all the years that I need to watch. I hope others watch them also. I highly recommend. Thank you. That was Tipsy Bones. Jeff, wishing you the best luck with everything. Sending good vibes to you. Mike Obey, hang in there, Dave. Stay strong and keep it cult. I will. Movie Junkie Reviews 84. Creepshow 3 is a typical low-budget anthology. Its biggest sin was slapping the Creepshow name on it. It would be forgotten without it. It has no connection to the other movies and in no way lives up to fan expectations. Pop Culture Massacre, wishing you the best of luck, Dave. Mason, thank you, bud. Satan 6100. I love the weekly Western montage, and I think that is Jim Van Beber. See, so they're coming up different now. Thank you, bud. DJ 88983. I think the Pit's fucking awesome, man. Hope you get better soon. I love the Pit. Paul Conway 384. Love the Pit. That kid was seriously creepy, and 1981 was one of the best years for horror ever. 80 and 81 very strong. Fan of Sega. Good luck with the surgery. Hope all goes well. Thank you, John Walsh. Lou Castell is excellent in Bullet for the General. I'll have to watch that one. I think it's getting a Blu-ray soon. Thank God. With Ernest Borgnine as well. John Walsh. Love the Mateo soundtrack. It's cool. Donald Taylor, I feel you. I've been down with several issues for almost 2 years. It blows. Peace. I'm sorry. And he says, good luck with everything, brother. Ken Coakley. I watched all 4 movies from the Blood Money set. The American actor in Find a Place to Die was Jeffrey Hunter, who was supposed to be the captain on the Enterprise of the Star Trek. He was in the pilot episode as Captain Pike. Exploitation actor Adam Rourke was also in the cast, but Hunter wanted too much money and was replaced by William Shatner. In fact, everyone but Leonard Nimoy was replaced. Prior to Star Trek, Hunter co-starred with John Wayne in The Searchers. Hunter has been in many westerns and war movies before and after The Searchers. In 1961, Hunter played Jesus in King of Kings. He died at the age of 42 in 1969 from brain hemorrhage caused by mishap on the set of the gangster film while he was working on it. Of the 4 movies, my favorite was Matello. It was different, but in a good way. I liked the rock soundtrack that was used, and I loved the lead actor, Corrado Pani. He reminded me a lot of Klaus Kinski. In fact, he looked kind of like Kinski. My only complaint is that he wasn't in the movie more. I thought of the movie as hippies in the Old West, like John Carpenter's Dark Stars was hippies in space film. That's pretty good. I think that Metallo would go good with Keoma, but it might just be too much weird Western. Or Greaser's Palace. That's 3 weird-ass Westerns back to back to back. So I appreciate you guys commenting and all that stuff and wishing me the best. Hopefully I can get this figured out. I was just hoping that they would come back with, like, you have a kidney infection, here's some antibiotics. But it's not so, I've not been so lucky. It's not a hernia, so that's good, but hopefully it's something easy to fix. So we're going to hop into the update. It's only one movie. How could I not have The Burning on 4K from 81? Good timing too. Love this movie. One of my favorite slashers ever made. So yeah, let's get out of here. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching. As always, have a good one.